In the previous lesson, we covered a lot of things, and one of the most important for this lesson is to understand the autoloader, because it's just the first half in learning how objects are actually instantiated in Magento using factory pattern. As we said, the right way to instantiate Mage customer model session class is through the factory method getModel with passed URI customer/session. This call basically tells the system, hey, go look in your global config tree, which is merged from all of the config.xml files during Magento initialization, and tell me what class I should be instantiating for this string customer/session. Now, because we have called getModel, Magento will go to model section of customer config.xml, and I've already opened that file in the right window, so you can see at the same time both configuration and test.php, and then the system will search for the customer node regarding to the first portion of this parameter. So this first string will tell the system what node to look for, and then the class value will give the class group name for our class, which is Mage customer model. So that's the first part. The second part of the URI is used to complete the class name. So it is not used to look up anything in the XML config, it will just be appended to the end of Mage customer model, so the system will end up with Mage customer model session. Once the class name is complete, then the autoloader kicks in. It has a meaningful class name, which will be converted to the file path as we've discussed in the previous lesson, and if the file exists there, it will be instantiated. This is hard to understand at first, but believe me, it will make every sense to you very soon. Just be patient and follow along with me. Here's another example. I'm asking you, what class will be instantiated with this call? If you'd like, stop the video, think a little about that, and then come back. But it's really okay if you want to watch me while explaining this again. So, because we called getModel, the system will definitely search under Global and then Models node in merged config tree. The first parameter means that the base class name should be found under Catalog node. And in what modules config file is that node defined? It must be in the Catalog module, but let's see. I'll go to Catalog module, etc, and open config.xml. And actually, let me move this to the right for you to have a better overview, and let's do a search for Catalog. Not this one, neither this is important, and here it is, right below Models node. So we have Mage catalog model. This value is exactly what the system will look for, so it has now the class group name, and then the product will be simply appended, getting the final class name as Mage catalog model product. And if we go to Models folder, we'll see that the file name product.php really exists here, so the autoloader won't have any problems to load it. And you can see the class name is properly defined, which means it will be instantiated. So far, we've only used getModel with the core Mage modules. However, the same concept applies to your own modules, like everything else in Magento. You simply see how core modules are built and apply the same principles in your custom modules. So why don't we make our product model ready for factory method? In other words, we'd like to be able to instantiate the model with a call like this. And then I'll call sayHello on this product object. Let's try this for a quick to see what will happen. Fatal error. Call to a member function sayHello on a non-object. This is how we make sure Magento doesn't recognize what model to instantiate, as expected of course. So what should we do? The first thing we'll do is to register our model class group. So we'll open the config.xml file, we left it blank in the previous lesson, and now it's time to do some interesting stuff. Every configuration file will have a config as a root node. Between these config nodes, there are a few possible child nodes, and the right one for registering our models, helpers and blocks is going to be a global node. Next node is either models, blocks, helpers, depending on what type of class we are registering. I'll put models node for now, and inside that you make a node that is whatever you want it to be. We want to instantiate our model by calling getModel and passing demo/product. And because of that, we have to create demo node. You remember that the system will look for a node with that name, and in there, I'll create class node which specifies the class prefix or class group name with the value of ++_demo_model. So this becomes the first part of the class name, and because we have a product as a second part of the parameter in getModel call, the system will try to instantiate ++demo_model product class. Let's give it a try. I'll go back to browser, and yep, the system recognized what we mean by demo product in getModel. In this way, we can register our block and helper classes too. Going back to config.xml file, at the same level where our models are defined, we can simply create blocks and helpers nodes. And then we can type whatever we want to be the first child node in both blocks and helpers, but a good practice is to choose one single name for models, helpers, and blocks. So that's why I'll put demo again, but next node is going to be different. Instead of ++demo_model, I'll put ++demo_block. And similarly, for helpers, it will be ++demo_helper. And of course, those are file paths to the folders where our blocks and helpers are defined. Now when we have our configuration in place, let's create a simple helper class. I'm going to save as, let's say, customer.php. The name really doesn't matter, I'm just testing. And then I'll declare a class according to Magento convention. Because it's in tats+namespace, demo module, helper folder, and the file name is customer.php, class name needs to be tats+_demo_helper_customer. Nothing new here, but there's something you should be aware of. When declaring a helper, it's a good idea to extend from mage core helper abstract. Actually, you don't have to do that in this case. But there are situations where the system requires it, so I'd like you to get in habit of doing this. Just make sure to extend from mage core helper abstract every time when creating a helper. Alright, we've configured and declared our first helper. Let's write one simple method. I'm going to define sayHi, which echoes hi. I'll switch to our test.php, and by the way, factory method for helpers will not be getHelper, which would you expect after seeing getModel method. Instead, it's just helper, not case sensitive. Parameter is in the same format, demo as our helper class group /customer, because we want to instantiate customer helper, and we know that this string will be converted to mage demo helper customer. So this should instantiate a new object. I'll save it in helper variable, and I can call sayHi method. Okay, it works as expected. Now I want to show you something else, which works only for helpers. I'm going to remove customer here, and let's see what will happen if I reload the page. We got error, but it says class tats+demo_helper data not found. You can see that if you only specify a class group, the system will look for data helper by default. And again, this works only for helpers. I'm going to create data.php file. Give it a proper class name, and implement the same method. I'll test it now, and it works. So, to conclude, in this lesson we saw how we instantiate helper and model classes the right way. We never instantiate a class standardly with new keyword following by the full class name, because by doing so we break one of the most powerful and most important feature in Magento, called class rewriting. And that's what we are going to see in next episode.